Khabib Nurmagomedov, UFC lightweight champion, is up first.
You okay, Casey?
155 for Khabib Nurmagomedov, the UFC lightweight champion, makes weight.
The drama is over very quickly.
Oh, I think it's
Easy
still going.
peasy. Khabib Nurmagomedov, 155 on the nose, and he has made championship weight.
First up on the scale, too. That feels like a statement to me, Mark.
And he looks relatively healthy as one can be after dehydrating themselves down to a certain weight. Looks better than he has in past lanes.
You cards. $115 and a half for Felice Herrig. She makes weight for her strawweight fight against Michelle Waterson. Tony Ferguson up next, former UFC lightweight champion, or interim lightweight champion, I should say. He salutes the crowd. He is fighting Anthony Pettis in the co-main event on Saturday night.
Still the MVP of Fight Week, as far as I'm concerned, Sean.
I would agree with you, Mark. This man has been focused all week. $155 for El Kukui. And you know what? He makes that championship weight. I think there's a little something to that there. If something happens between now and Saturday, he will be eligible to step in that main event and keep it a title fight. Ovince St. Preux up next. He fights Dominic Reyes in a light heavyweight bout on the main card. St. Preux here being tasked with being sort of the gatekeeper to a young prospect who has been doing well in this light heavyweight division.
But this is a man that you cannot count out, as we've seen multiple times in the past. $205 and a half for Ovince St. Preux. He makes weight for his light heavyweight contest on the pay-per-view card. To me, one of the more intriguing fights of this card, just to see exactly where Dominic Reyes is, the top prospect. Can he break into that upper echelon of the division, which Ovince St. Preux has been in now for quite some time?
It really, well, you know, it's a division really, really starved for young talent. All right, keep it coming. Nick Lentz up next. He fights Gray Maynard on the UFC Fight Prelims, or Fight Pass Prelims, I am sorry. Lightweight battle between two veterans. $156 for Nick Lentz. Easy peasy, he makes weight. You know, speaking to Nick Lentz on Thursday at Media Day, he said, you know, he's been in this game for a while, but it's these type of cards, these big cards that he can really appreciate being on. There's a little added element to it for him to be able to be on this card.
You know, there's more media, there's more eyes on it. Even though fighters don't necessarily make more money being on a card like this, there is a certain atmosphere being here in Las Vegas on a Conor McGregor, Khabib Nurmagomedov card compared to UFC Utica or UFC Boise.
Juicy A. Formiga up next. He headlines the FS1 prelims against Sergio Pettis in what effectively could be a #1 contender fight for this flyweight division.
Both men could certainly make a case. The winner, of course.
125.5 for Juicy A. Formiga. And it was interesting. He told our own Guilherme Cruz this week that he was actually the unofficial backup of sorts for Demetrius Johnson versus Henry Cejudo.
Yeah, he is a guy who's kind of been knocking on that door of the flyweight division for some time, and this is, if it's not a title eliminator, it's pretty darn close. Of course, there's a lot to see what happens as far as whether Henry Cejudo is going to fight TJ Dillashaw, whether that be at 135 or 125. There's also the question of where Demetrius Johnson fits. Does he get the immediate rematch, which I think many people feel he deserves, but he's still a little bit banged up.
All right, we keep it going. Lena Landsberg up next. She is fighting Yana Kunitskaya in a bantamweight bout on the UFC Fight Pass prelims. Two women who have fought Cyborg in the UFC. Actually, two women who made their debuts in the UFC against Cyborg, which is a tough ask. $135.5 for Lena Landsberg.
Little European flavor to this fight.
Absolutely, and she appears to be in good spirits.
Actually, 3 total women on this card have fought Chris Cyborg in their UFC debuts, with Tanya Evinger being the 3rd.
Ryan LaFleur coming up next. LaFleur taking on Tony Martin in the curtain jerker, the opening bout of the night on Saturday night on the UFC Fight Pass prelims.
I was talking to Ryan LaFleur yesterday at Media Day, and he's not all that happy about some of the stuff that Tony Martin has been saying on social media.
LaFleur on a bit of a nice run of late. He has won 3 of 4. 171 for Ryan LaFleur. Basically, what LaFleur was saying is that whenever he's seen Tony Martin in person, Martin is very friendly, cordial, and then he looks on Tony Martin's Twitter, and it's some smack talk. Not too pleased by that. The Long Island native, Ryan LaFleur. Let her get a chance. Vicente Luque, and this just keeps on coming. Vicente Luque taking on Jalen Turner in a welterweight bout on the FS1 prelims.
One of the more underrated welterweights in the UFC, Luque, has a nose for a finish, has a nose for submissions. $170.5 for Vicente Luque. He makes weight. And you were right, Mark. I mean, he is really one of the underrated characters in this welterweight division. 6 of his last 7 UFC fights. Not only wins, but stoppages. This is one of those cases where the welterweight division is so deep that it's just hard for a guy like him to break into that top 15. I mean, he is facing a UFC newcomer. It's Chad LaPrice knockout, Nico Price submission, but we keep on going. Sergio Pettis up next. As we said, he faces Juicy A. Formiga in the FS1 headliner, and it could effectively be a number 1 contender fight for the flyweight division. Pettis told me this was the easiest weight cut of his career thus far, working with George Lockhart and Daniel Leith.
125 for Sergio Pettis, one half of the Fighting Pettis brothers here on Saturday night's card. Michelle Waterson up next. She opens up the pay-per-view card against Felice Herrig in a strawweight fight.
I feel like this is a very big fight for Michelle Waterson because she's starting to get mainstream attention marketing-wise. She's doing a lot of mainstream photo shoots. She's, of course, represented by Endeavor, the UFC owner. And it would be a big one for her to win this fight against Herrig.
$115 for Michelle Waterson, former atomweight, makes 115 with ease. And Michelle Waterson, was facing a 2-fight losing streak
She
in her
just
last fight.
she just leveled up,
Yeah,
Sean.
I saw that.
Don't no sell the level up.
She was facing a 2-fight losing streak in her last fight in Glendale, and she defeated Courtney Casey in a very close fight, and she was extremely emotional afterwards. Just it seemed as though there was a very big weight off her shoulders. She was in good spirits this week, especially at Thursday's media day. I agree with you. This feels like a big one for her.
What a lot of people don't know is that her and Felice Herrig go back more than 10 years
Oh,
to
geez.
when they were on the Fight Girls Muay Thai reality show.
Yana Kunitskaya coming now. She fights Lena Landsberg in the UFC Fight Pass prelims. This is the first time we have seen Kunitskaya since her fight against Chris Cyborg, which was her UFC debut.
I'm just trying to paint the pictures here.
134.5 for Yana Kunitskaya.
Down.
Coming up now, Tanya Evinger, another OG of the women's fight game. She's facing Aspen Ladd on the FS1 prelims.
Both Eminger and Ladd surprised that Ladd is actually the favorite in this fight.
$136 for Tanya Evinger. She makes weight, and she is coming off a really devastating injury that took her out for quite a while. Mark, you spoke to her about that injury.
Yeah, yesterday at media day was she told me that her words were that she broke her leg in half. She fractured her leg. She broke her tibia. She tore ligaments in her knee,
Jeez.
and it was because of a light roll with just a random person off the street at her Houston gym, and she actually fired her coach after this incident because he let her.
All right, Tony Martin up now. Tony Martin opening up Saturday night's card in a welterweight fight against Ryan Flair. And Martin had a bone to pick with a lot of people on Thursday's media day. He was fired up. 171 for Tony Martin, and he feels as though he needs to make a statement. He has been on a nice little run, winning 4 of 5, but he has not caught the attention of
Of course, the significant other of Kayla Harrison, PFL star, former 2-time judo Olympic gold medalist.
Now up, Jalen Turner, UFC newcomer, Dana White Contender Series alum. He's fighting Vicente Luque in a welterweight bout. And you know what? I spoke to Jalen Turner on Thursday's media day, and he's a very interesting character. His nickname is the Tarantula, which you just look at him, that feels like a fitting nickname, but that's not why his nickname's the Tarantula. Mark, this man once had 200 tarantulas. 200. He once owned 200 in his home.
Let's wait for the weight to come in and we'll discuss.
169.5 for Jalen Turner, who is fighting at welterweight, but is normally a lightweight fighter. Very big for a lightweight. And I'm the Tarantula. All right, coming up now is Scott Holtzman.
Hot sauce.
He opens up the FS1 prelims against Alan Patrick in a lightweight fight.
I loved the outfit at media day yesterday from Scott Holtzman. If you look at Esther Lynn's photo gallery, MMAfighting.com, it was very much like an old school Las Vegas outfit. Almost like something Sinatra would wear back in the day.
$155.5 for Scott Holtzman. He is on a 2-fight winning streak, but this is the first time we have seen him in 2018. 4-fight deal he signed at the beginning of the year. Up now, the heavyweight, or I should say one half of the only heavyweight fight on the card, Derek Lewis. He has won 8 of 9, a very sneaky good run in this heavyweight division. He could make it 9 of 10. And this feels as though he could potentially be fighting for #1 contendership here.
Somehow Derek Lewis is at the same time very popular, but also very underrated, if that makes any sense.
That makes a lot of sense. I feel like the rap on him is he wins some and he loses some, but he's a fun fighter. But that's actually not true anymore. He is a very consistently great heavyweight at this point.
I mean, what was it, 16 punches in 15 minutes?
265.5 for Derek Lewis. He just gets under the nose there at the heavyweight limit. And Mark, you are very familiar with Derek Lewis. It was basically here last, July, where Derek Lewis and Francis Ngannou made you do a shoey. And it was one of the greater moments of my MMA career.
Well, it was the...
And our cameraman Casey pointed out that Derek Lewis is basically Sergio Pettis and Formiga combined. That's a good assessment, Casey.
Of course,
Can
you
you
were
just-
referring to...
I'll hold that thought. Gray Maynard up now. Grizzled veteran of the game, Gray Maynard. He's fighting Nick Lentz in a lightweight fight on bypass prelims.
I do need a bit of a tag team, so I'm going to pull some of the Irish.
156 for Gray Maynard. And the veteran keeps it going. That's with Gray Maynard. I mean, this was his first fight in 2018. Next up, Alain Patrick. He's taking on Scott Holtzman in the opener of the FS1 prelims.
Holtzman told me that he really likes this matchup because Patrick is a guy that comes right out. He may be a bit unorthodox, but he does bring it, and that's the style that Holtzman likes as well.
155.5 for Patrick, who has won 5 of 6 in the UFC. This could be a big one. We were saying this could be a big one for Scott Holtzman. This could also be a big one for him, and he is on fire. He is happy, enjoying himself today. Most energy we have seen from anybody today at these weigh-ins. All right.
Oh, I'm sorry, and Aspen Ladd, 5.
Okay. Dominic Reyes up next. One of the more intriguing prospects in this 205-pound division. 3 straight fights, 3 straight finishes in the UFC. Couldn't ask for a better way to start your career. Former football player taking on another former football player in Ovid St. Preux on the main card. Feels like a big spot for him.
Former football player and IT professional, Dominic Reyes.
Man of many talents.
It's 204.5, is that what Bob Bennett said?
I believe that was what Bob Bennett said. We were distracted by Gareth A. Davies exclaiming behind us that he has a very long torso.
I heard he has a long torso.
He's basically me with you on my shoulders tall. Very interesting clash of body types in this matchup between he and Derek Lewis. $251 for Alexander Volkov. Looks like he just rolled out of bed.
Also, good amount of fans in the back for Mr.
This is Conor McGregor. Here he is, Conor McGregor, for the first time in 2 years. The last time we saw this man in an MMA cage, he was the lightweight and featherweight champion. He is seeking to reclaim that title on Saturday night. 154.5 for Conor McGregor, and there is an uproarious applause here at the Park Theater. He is fired up. Conor McGregor makes weight. We have ourselves a fight, Mark.
Wow.
Aspen Ladd is someone who has struggled to make this bantamweight limit several times in her career already. That has sort of been the narrative that has followed her around, and it appears as though we will have Another instance of that today, whether she makes it or not.
Where do you think you can buy a UFC hoop? I think they sell them like Walmart.
I have no answers for this.
Just curious.
I don't understand why the men get the towel and the women get the hoop. Why can't the men get the hoop too? It seems like it's just a generally easier thing.
I'm all for hoop equality in this sport, Sean.
How many times have we seen like someone like Daniel Cormier's butt or something because of the towel? It feels like people are very flippant with the towel. 134.5 for Aspen Ladd. She makes weight, and I'm sure that is a sigh of relief for her. I mean, we have talked about it. She has struggled to make that bantamweight limit in her UFC career. Oh my lord. Yeah, Aspen Ladd is trembling right now.
She's shivering.
She does not appear to be in good health. She is struggling.
Forget the photo op. Can you get this person some water and food?
She is shaking as she leaves the weigh-in area. That was a scary moment there, Mark. Anthony Pettis with the sunglasses on. You would hope those sunglasses maybe don't weigh too much. And like clockwork, somebody's phone is going on. Sunglasses are off for Anthony Pettis. He is using the towel. $156 for Anthony Pettis, and his team is very happy. Manager Abe Kawa here clapping. Anthony Pettis breathes a sigh of relief. He has made weight, and just like that, Mark, we are done here. Every fighter on the card makes weight, no hiccups, drama-free morning. What a spectacular weigh-ins for this fight. I will say, quite the atmosphere, unlike any we have seen for morning weigh-ins. Goes off without a hitch. Every fighter makes weight, including the co-main event fighters Anthony Pettis and Tony Ferguson, as well as the main event fighters.